Hi, I'm Jo Pratt and I'm going to show you how to make a wonderful recipe for roast squash and sage soup. And throughout the cooking process I'm going to show you how important seasoning is. And the first thing I'm going to do is take my butternut squash and just cut it into wedges. You could also use some sweet potato if you wanted to, or even any root vegetable works just as well. Just cut them up, keeping the skin on, into quite thick chunky wedges and pop them in a roasting tray. And then I'm going to take a carrot and then just cut this into some thick wedges. And then an onion. I've got a red onion here. You could use a white or a red onion. I think using red onion is really nice for this because it adds an extra little bit of colour. And then just pop that into your tray. And now for the seasoning. Add a good twist of salt. You can do this on quite a coarse grind, as the salt will dissolve into the food whilst it's cooking. And then for some pepper, I'm going to put this onto quite a coarse grind as well, to add that lovely warmth whilst the food is cooking and roasting in the tray. And then just add a couple of cloves of peeled garlic and then a good drizzle of olive oil. Just enough to coat the vegetables. And then give them a turn around in the pan. And then you want to pop this in the oven to roast for about 35 to 40 minutes until they're lovely and golden and the vegetables are nice and soft. Once the vegetables are cooked, leave to cool for about 10 minutes until they're just cool enough to handle, and then you want to take the skin off the butternut squash. Now the easiest way to do this is to just squeeze it, because the squash will be really soft, but the skin is still quite hard. It should just peel away and pop it into a bowl. And then you just add the carrots and the onion into this bowl as well. And then you want to stick your tray on the hob, because it's now cool enough to handle, and then pop it over a high heat. And you've got all these sticky bits from all of your vegetables in there that you want to actually make the most of. So pop in a small glass of white wine, bring that up to the boil, and then you can scrape away all that residue from on the bottom of the tray. And then add some stock, either chicken or vegetable stock. It's entirely up to you. If you're cooking for vegetarians, obviously go for a vegetable stock. Okay, so now the stock's boiling. Let's just turn that off the heat. And it's full of that lovely flavour left over from the roasted vegetables. And I'm going to tip these veg into a blender. So in they go. Pop the stock into a jug just to make it easier to pour into the blender as well. So just being very careful when you do this. And then pop this into your blender, just adding a little at a time at this stage. You can always add more of the actual liquid as you go, and then blitz to a smooth paste. There we go. I'm just going to transfer this into a pan. So just pour it straight in. So it's got a fantastic vibrant colour. You can see all those flecks in there from the roasted vegetables and also from the pepper that we've used. And then pop this onto the heat. And I'm going to stir in some creme fraiche. It adds a really nice light flavour and gives it a really creamy consistency as well. So there we go. Just pop that over the heat and stir until creme fraiche is melted in. And then I'm just going to add some sage as well at this stage, and you get that lovely fresh sage flavour into that cooked soup. So just finely chop, and there's about a tablespoon's worth that I'm just going to scatter this into the top. And then once I've done that, I'm actually going to have a taste and add some more seasoning, bearing in mind it's going to be hot, so don't burn your tongue. It's really delicious. You've got the lovely sweet flavour coming from all of those roasted vegetables. Now the first thing I'm just going to add some salt. Now I don't need a lot of salt adding into here because I have already put some in. But using a coal and mason grinder with some fresh sea salt means that I can actually regulate the amount that I put into there. Now for some pepper, just going to add a little more pepper. Again using the coal and mason grinder, put it to a fine setting. And you can see that it just comes out really nice and fine. And the amazing thing about the technology with the coal and mason mill is it slices through that peppercorn, so you get the optimum flavour coming from the pepper. It's not too strong, it's nice and warm, and that's what's great about being able to grind your own pepper. So when you're ready to serve your soup, make sure it's lovely and hot, and then just ladle into bowls. So as you can see, it's really quite thick, which makes it nice and hearty and filling. You can eat your food with your eyes before you actually get to taste it. So I'm going to add a few little shavings of fresh Parmesan cheese over the top, and I've got some sage leaves which have just been fried in a little bit of oil just so they're really nice and crunchy. Sort of adds these little restaurant-y finishes to the food. And then, even though we've seasoned the food really nicely whilst we were cooking it, I'm actually going to add a little twist of pepper on top because it looks really pretty. just over the outside, and also adds that extra flavour because I think it's got just the right amount of seasoning. So there we have it, our perfectly seasoned roasted squash and sage soup.